Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of KreNITalks program. I'm sure you want to learn more about digital disruption. This event brings more international and national experts who will share their knowledge and help you understand better new disruptive technologies. We will talk about the gaming industry in France, virtual design in Italy, development of smart cars, 5G network in telecommunication, transformation of banking sector, and the connection between the large companies and startups. You will hear Francesco Pusterla, architect from Italy, Emanuel Corno, game writer from France, Mirjana Stojanović, account manager digital service from Ericsson, Sasha Cioringa, managing director of Continental Automotive Serbia, Stojan Vatres, digital transformation expert from Erste Bank, and Ljubisa Egelja, marketing manager from AFRY Bank. Our first speaker is coming from Italy, and he will be introduced by Ms. Paola Cordone, Director of Italian Institute from Culture. Dear Paola, thank you very much for your support. We are looking forward to hear your message.
Hello, I am Paola Cordone, the Director of the Italian Cultural Institute in Belgrade. I am very pleased that the Italian Cultural Institute is participating also this year to this very important conference, which is the KreNI Conference on Creative Industries, organized by Mladi Ambassadori. We have been participating also in the previous editions, and this edition is going to take place online. Welcome everybody. For the Italian side, we are presenting architect Francesco Pusterla, who is specialized in the research and application of digital tools and methodologies applied to architecture and the world of construction. I wish you all a very fruitful exchange of ideas and enjoy the conference.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to my presentation. I'm Francesco Pusterla. I'm an architect and I live in Como, Italy. And this evening I'll be talking to you about virtual design. So first of all, a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm an architect and I work for AFRY, which is an international engineering design and advisory company, as a BIM coordinator. And I'm the director of the furniture design course at the Academy of Fine Arts of Como. I've always been into architecture, design and technology. And in my work, I tried to explore how to use digital tools in a creative way so that they are not an obstacle in what we do, but actually become a new opportunity to create new perspectives on the way we design and make things. So I chose the theme of virtual design because I would like to show you how these digital tools are impacting the way we work today and also how they will influence it in the near future. So, to start, I would like to focus on the word virtual and its meaning. Virtual comes from virtus in Latin as something that does not exist but has the potential to become. These graphs show the use of the word virtual in books from the 15th century till today that have been analyzed by Google, and it shows that virtual has been, of course, used already in centuries ago, but we notice that around the 1980s, there's been a jump in the curve pretty much around the time where the personal computer started to be a widespread technology. In fact, since then, when we use the word virtual, we associate it almost all the time with something digital. Although, in architecture and design, a project has always been virtual, even before the use of computer and digital tools. In fact, even when we draw something with pencil and paper, it is anyway something that does not exist but has the potential to be. And this type of analog virtuality has allowed us to design and build since forever without the use of mouse and keyboard. So today, digital technologies are allowing us to create a new type of virtuality that create a much more elaborate, detailed and informed abstraction than what we used to create with analog media. And thanks to this new virtuality, we are shortening the distance between a virtual design and the built object, so that what is being built is as close as possible to what we first imagined. But This research to shorten the boundaries is nothing new. Architects have always tried to project themselves into the built object. Filippo Brunelleschi developed a new theory on how to create realistic drawings, and with this experience that you see, he was testing his drawing of a project against the real building and using a mirror to compare the virtual with the real. Today, we are sort of doing the same thing, but with more complex instrument. Virtual reality is layering a representation of the real or of the unreal in front of our eyes to really project us into the project. The main driver of this technology is, of course, the entertainment industry, but it's now shifting more and more into professional applications. And since a couple of years, I have been starting to use it on pretty much any project to help me realize right away how it feels to be in the space that I'm designing on my computer. And these tools are allowing us to create a level of realism that is really unprecedented. So we are not only able to evaluate the proportion, but also the materiality, the lights, and ultimately the sensation of being in a space. So I have collected some projects that I have been working on that shows this duality of virtual and real, and how I managed to move between one field and the other. 3D Prix is a project that I've developed in 2015 for a furniture company that was exhibiting at the Milan Design Fair. They asked me to create an installation for their stand covering 80 square meters of exhibition. So at the time I was experimenting a lot with 3D printing, so I decided to develop a design that I could then 3D print. So this shows the evolution of the design from an umbrella-like surface to a pattern of rhomboids that create a frame structure. So each black dot that you see in the structure is a 3D printed component, and the white tubes are wooden rods that connect one to the other. So in the end, the design developed 130 components which are similar to each other, but each of them is unique. So therefore 3D printing was the ideal technology to be used to develop these. Although I had to face the first issue, which was the time of printing. So to print all the components, it would have took around 180 hours, and that would have been way too much for my single printer that I have in the studio. So what I did was looking online on this platform that was existing at the time called 3D Apps, which was allowing people with the printer to share their printer online and eventually participate in collaborative projects like the one I had. So by finding printer close to the place where we were exhibiting, I then managed to shrink down the time to 1/10, and we were able then to produce collectively the pieces in less than a week. So each piece was printed locally, as I said, and each maker also had their name written on each component, so they could find it in the overall structure. Each component was labeled, and the assemble process was also very fast, because even though all these components were produced by 10 different printers and by 10 different people, the instruction that were flowing on the platform, thanks to my design, allowed us to create the structure and have the tolerance that we needed in order to finalize it. And this is the built object. And I think the interesting aspect of this digital design is the ability to then sort of crowdsource the production and find local resources by using the network, and be able to develop something in a much shorter time frame than we would have done by ourselves. So another interesting aspect of the project is also that it was developed in a parametric way, so that we could eventually adapt this structure to many different needs and many different situations. So this other project that I'm showcasing instead is about the use of a new interface in order to interact and design with a computer. This video shows Nicholas Baker, an American designer, using Gravity Sketch, an app developed to draw 3D elements inside virtual reality. When I first saw this, I saw huge potential, especially in the human-machine interaction, because I had the impression that this tool would make 3D modeling much simpler than it is now with mouse and keyboards. So I developed this workshop for an exhibition at the Triennale in Milan, where I wanted to experiment the use of this interface with a large audience and see if it was real that this instrument could help people design in 3D. The name of the workshop was Virtual to Real, and the idea was to let people design objects using VR and then print these objects and then turn them into real one by using a 3D printer. The interaction that people had with the interface was incredible. Designers, and especially non-designers too, were able to draw 3D elements in a much more intuitive way than with mouse and keyboards. We really let it try to anyone and to any age. The younger designer we had was 4 and the older was 80. And pretty much all of them were able to create an object. We then collected all these objects in an online gallery so that they were available also after the workshop. So I think this aspect of turning design into a sort of game is really interesting. And I've later found out that the game industry and the design one can have some connections. So this is Fortnite. It's an online game where 100 people play collaboratively together in the same virtual environment. And they not only have to battle each other in teams, but they can also build temporary structure that could help them in the match to hide or to take a better vantage point over the land. What I found fascinating is that this design and build process happens so fast and in real time between 100 people. And I wonder how this works so well in a video game where in architecture sometimes I still struggle to send attachment with emails that people have to receive and zip and unzip and open, etc., etc. So digging behind Unreal Engine that is used to develop games like Fortnite, I found out that it's now being used also for professional application too. In fact, it allows to showcase thousands of 3D polygons and to simulate pretty much any real-life situation. So not only virtual games, but also buildings, industries, or large-scale infrastructures. So some years ago, my colleagues at AFRY in Sweden have been using Unreal Engine to develop a highly detailed model of a large infrastructure project. And they were using this tool to aggregate hundreds of models stretching for many kilometers of land. This one that you see here is a tool that they have developed to be used with VR headset in Unreal Engine in order to work simultaneously in the same model. So here they are developing a new street, and one designer can outline one part while his colleagues are working on another part, and they can see their work pretty much like the gamers do in the same virtual space of Fortnite. And this is the final model. What you see is visualized again through Unreal Engine that is able to manage and visualize hundreds of models that stretch for kilometers, keeping the detail of each leaf that is on each tree that you see, as well as all the nuts and bolts that are parts of the railway system. And as you can see, this can be a really effective visualization and design tool. After these first experiments of virtual collaboration, we have now started to use similar platform in order to collaborate remotely without having to travel. This is a virtual meeting that I had with my colleagues in Sweden and Norway some weeks ago. And thanks to this platform, we can meet into a building before it's built and evaluate and review the design together without moving from our office. What you see is just a portion of what you can actually perceive with the headset, which offer a much more immersive perspective. Not only we see the persons around us, but we can also talk to them as if we would do in reality. We started using this platform just 3 weeks before all the travel restriction that we had this year, and it allowed us to collaborate even better than we could do, even better than we could have done by working in the same office. We can also measure, inspect, and extract all the information of the project, as well as creating 3D annotation and markups. So we just started using this method of collaboration, but we really think that these will become a standard for our future projects. not only between the design teams, but also with the client or any other person involved in the project. So after all this project, I want to sum up some concepts that I think are important to focalize this design process between virtual and real. So first of all, I'd like to introduce the theme of digital sustainability. I think it's important to find a balance between virtual and physical. Too much of one another is not good. It's not good to avoid considering what's happening in the digital and virtual realm, as it's not good to immerse yourself completely in a virtual world. In order to be sustainable, we need to find a balance between the two. And to do this, we need to create a conscience in future generation about the correct and balanced use of these tools. So the second aspect is to be flexible and to don't get addicted or dependent on a single source of information or software or platform. Flexibility is a value, and we need to defend it for our freedom of choice that will benefit our research and ultimately our work. It's important to be able to move the information between one system and the other, and any system that is closing our workflow, it's certainly not good. And finally, we need to be a bit curious. I often found out that you can find some solution in places or disciplines that you don't expect to be connected with what you do. But the truth is that digital tools are much more versatile than physical ones. So sometimes we can discover unconventional tools and see them very effective in what we do. So this was it. I hope that I inspired or at least created some curiosity through these projects and ideas. And I look forward to see you at the online workshop, where we'll be working on some of the themes that were part of this presentation. So have a great evening, and I hope to see you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for welcoming me here. It's an honor to speak to you today. So just to introduce myself, I'm Emanuel Corno. I'm a game creator specialized in indie games. I've worked on several games such as Endless Legend, Event Zero, Homo Machina, High Frequencies, for example. And so all these games are indie games. What are indie games? Basically, I want to risk myself into a formal debate, but I like to sum it up this way. It's games with original ideas, but not much money to be done. So, yeah. So, as an indie, I've always looked at the high tech with a lot of admiration and expectations. And I've noticed that high techs like to come with great promises. And you may have heard too these promises. Some of them are true. Some of them are more arguable. For example, maybe you remember Magic Leap. Magic Leap was AR Google Glass-like that was supposed to be super realistic. And there was back in, I think it was 2014, a video showing like whales and elephants and this kind of stuff. And they raised billions of dollars. Sadly, they didn't manage to reach their promises. And this year they were having less ambitions and firing thousands of employees. We can also remember, for example, promises from Elon Musk and his tunnel Hyperloop, which was supposed to be very innovative, but now it's just a normal car tunnel because this is simple and it just works. One of the games I've worked on is Event Zero. In this game, you play an astronaut who is stuck in a spaceship and has to go back to Earth. And this game has been started in 2013 and we released it in 2016. And this game has a very specific gameplay. It's all evolves around a chatbot. So you have to talk with your keyboard to a chatbot that we coded in the game. I'm going to show you a teaser, and we will keep talking about it just after that.
Do you dream of distant planets, stars, and galaxies? Are you ready for the most transformative experience of your life? The idea you just keep asking yourself questions. The only human usage not very left to you.
Okay, so this is event 0, and when we started this game, when we start working on this game, everybody was already speaking about personal assistants and chatbots and all the technologies that revolves around it. There was a lot of promises, and some of them were true, some of them were a bit disappointing. For example, I think about Facebook's personal assistant. Maybe you don't remember it, but it was supposed to be a revolution in chatbots. And finally, it's over. So people at this time were asking us, why don't we use similar technologies to make Event 0? Because you have to know, Event 0's chatbot is very stupid, and it's what we call weak AI. It's a chatbot as we used to make them since the 60s. So technologically speaking, it's not very interesting. And we have two answers for that. The first one is, modern chatbot with machine learning and these kind of things costs money, and we are in these. Remember that. But there are also more important reasons. I like to say that before going on a technological trend, you have to ask yourself a few questions, which are, what are my needs? Will I be able to use this tech? And how can I satisfy my needs with what I already know? In the case of Event 0, our needs were simple. We wanted a chatbot that can follow a specific story plot and that game designers can tweak easily. Will I be able to use this technology? The thing is, deep AIs are black boxes. You cannot really tweak what happens inside. You have just an input and an output. And we wanted our chatbot to follow a strict path. This is why, in my opinion, so many chatbot experiences ended up weirdly. Like, for instance, Microsoft's chatbot Tay, who turned out to be racist. It's because you cannot control what's happening inside, and we didn't want that for our game. But if we won't be using that, we will have to deal with a very bad technology. And how can I satisfy my needs with what I already know? This is the moment where we have to use smart design. In our game, the chatbot is represented as an old computer, very buggy, very glitchy. So when the AI doesn't understand the player thinks that it's part of the fiction. It's because it's an old computer that it doesn't understand you. Our player is stuck in a spaceship. This way, we give them a goal and we can predict what they are going to ask the AI. It's important because when you make a personal assistant on smartphone, for example, you have to be able to predict weather forecast questions or sports questions or any kind of topic. But in our game, generally players ask only specific questions, always the same, and it will make no sense if the player will ask about the weather. So it's much easier to code this way. The last thing is our AI in the story hides information to the player, which means when the AI doesn't understand a player question, instead of answering, I don't understand, it will answer, I don't want to talk about it. And this changes everything because the player feels like the AI is smart and just avoiding topics instead of being what it is for real, dumb. So all these problems were not solved by technologies, but by design. And there is another game that I admire a lot for their design choices. It's called Kind Words. It's not a very famous game. It's an indie game again. And in this game, you have to write letters to other players. And the players can answer you. And that's basically all. So the game encourages you to confess about your personal life, and other players will give you advices. And here's my question. How did this game didn't turn out to be a troll nightmare? Because it's a very small game made by 2 people. There is no moderators. There is no super AI controlling what you say. And still the community is very positive just because of its design. So here are a few little list, but all their good ideas. First, the game costs €4. It means that if you want to go on this game and be mean to people, you will have to pay. It's a full screen application that needs to be launched through Steam. This is something that takes all your focus, and you cannot play this game while watching YouTube and so on. The game starts with a scene that tells you other players have feeling and you will be in communication with them. It's kind of obvious, but at the beginning, many players would think that it's just a non-multiplayer game. You get collectible stickers when other players like your answer. So you are encouraged to write the best answers. You cannot answer to an answer. This is the most important part of this game, I think. When you write a letter, you will have one answer to your letter, and then you cannot write back. So you cannot build a relationship with other players, and sometimes it's frustrating. But it also means that if you receive a letter of someone who is having personal issues, and you want to be mean to them, you want to write a bad letter, you will never know if the player read it, because you will never have an answer. And feedback is very important, even if you are a troll. You know, when you go on Twitter, many people like to insult each other, and then they got blocked. But being blocked is a feedback itself, and sometimes people are proud to be blocked by someone on Twitter. In this game, you cannot even do that. The game started as a closed beta, so it was able to build a positive community, which means that when new players were arriving after that, there was already a lot of people playing this game nicely and encouraging them to do so. And finally, the game is called Kind Words. It's a bit stupid, but it works. You know before launching this game what it will be about. There are also many other good ideas in this game, but for me, these design ideas are the most important, and they are interesting because it's just design, no technology. It's interesting when you know how big companies like Facebook, for example, suffer from moderation issues. They use a lot of AIs and many people working behind, and still manage to get rid of their problems. My conclusion will be simple. Innovation doesn't always require high tech, but always good design. So good luck with your project, and thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Stojan Vatres and I am Digital Transformation Lead from Erste Bank Serbia. Today I would like to share with you a few thoughts and ideas about digital transformation. We all know these days how important digital transformation is for every business hit by COVID-19 epidemic, and also not only that, but also in the last few years we've seen tremendous growth in need for digital transformation around the world based on availability of highly useful things such as mobility, social media, big data, technological advance in certain fields, and so on. So we've got all these nice, useful things around us, and digital transformation is basically answer to that. So let's get started and see what is this digital transformation all about. As you already know, or somehow be able to get in touch, there's a difference between digital transformation and the change management that we see, although they go hand in hand. But basically, digital transformation is not focusing on improving daily operations step by step or product or services to enhance certain margins or operational indicators. But basically, digital transformation actually is a road from the current business state to the future state that will allow company to compete in rapidly evolving market conditions, driven by high and even higher customer expectations, new technologies, and new business models. But one thing that I would like to stress out here is that digital transformation, even though it's paradox, it's all about people. Keep that in mind, because people are the most valuable asset. And this is now fact. This is now cornerstone when every company is deciding to go to digital transformation. It's about people. As you can see in the picture, digital transformation actually covers improvements in change management, covers also innovations, and also disruption. So making rapid and significant detachment from the current operations and moving it to the future state, which will enable company, provide conditions for company to thrive. Alternative is just a basic survival. So these are the basic facts about the digital transformation. However, if you look around, you will see mixed messages. Some people believe in digital transformation. Some are very highly skeptical. Why? Because if you look at just one recent survey by Harvard Business Review, they find a lot of digital transformation projects actually fail, and they waste a lot of money. That's the current situation. So that's even more important that all of us actually consider and think about digital transformation, what we need to do and how to engage with digital transformation. There is no formula. There is no silver bullet. It combines everything that you know. It combines tremendous effort from the entire organization. But if we, in my mind, if we would compile all these findings and experiences from different organizations and different people, we may come up with two key reasons. One is that the new technology is a possibility. So for achieving business goal, this is not the mean, this is not the goal, this is not the new business model. It's a new technology is a possibility or a tool. How are we going to get there? Second is something that people really need to be familiar with and take into account is mindset. You cannot change the organization to a different level. You cannot embrace disruption and move forward rapidly with the current mindset that you have. This is not going to happen. This is I tried to compile all these findings and things that we also highly consider in Erste Bank, but also as a benchmark is what are the key success factors. One of them is that you define your business strategy. You have to have your business strategy. You need to go down and understand your business strategy and see how you're going to deliver value and make money once you are in the future state of your business model. Consultant versus insiders. This is extremely important to leverage how many consultants, what area to cover versus your internal people who will basically be chosen and there to deliver on digital transformation. This is extremely important because your people, as we said already, are the key to deliver digital transformation. Make sure that you choose wisely because having people, even the best of your people, having to change the hat from run the organization to change the organization will be highly challenging and difficult. Of course, customer experience, use methodology. I suggest using such methodology as Lean Six Sigma because they focus on voice of customers, critical to quality. They use methodology to identify areas of improvement. They give you way how to innovate, etc. Of course, your employee support is extremely important. Talk to them, make sure that you empower them, engage them in your transformation journey, and crush their fears that they will be replaced or obsolete in the new organization. And of course, develop, as we said, startup mindset. These are extremely important key success factors in my mind. Moving further, this is probably the core slide from my presentation is basically what is the digital transformation all about. Goals of digital transformation is deliver growth and efficiency. What is in focus, of course, people and technology. When we combine all these goals and focuses, we get something that can be understood as an essence of digital transformation. If you look at the technology innovation area, this is how you actually approach the new technologies and how you leverage the impact of your business models. So once again, digital technology will deliver digital transformation and achieve those business goals that you have, not another way around. Transformation of processes and system is something that is highly correlated with a new technology because if you have process organization, you know the maturity of your processes, you measure your processes, you have ownership, and you know how to deliver, you know where are you, you know what's the value of that point of view, what kind of value you deliver, and then you can measure the delta that you will get with the digital transformation. Of course, highly important transformational culture, mindset, empower the induce the people to embrace the change. This is extremely critical. And of course, business model innovation, embrace definitely a new approach, think differently, look it from the customer perspective, like, and let's say the business model is basically how you're going to define your new blueprint of your business model that will create and deliver and capture the value. This is about the business model innovation. And in order to execute digital transformation, I strongly suggest that you use some kind of framework. One of the framework you may see here, try to be simple, but try to be as deep as possible. In every framework, you will need to go deep and understand every aspects of your digital transformation, define vision, define why, define insights, and the knowledge, how to determine the future state. Think about leadership, strategy is highly important, mindset change, matrix as well, roadmap. Roadmap is something how you're going to execute and follow up on your micro steps that will be part of your digital transformation. Language, culture, definitely, etc. So use, define, this one you may get from your consultants or something that you create yourself, but definitely try have the framework that will guide you through your digital transformation journey. To wrap up the whole presentation, I would like to just stress out a few things that are basically important when executing digital transformation. Strongly suggest that you anchor your transformation efforts around the future competitive strengths. This is basically make your priorities. And if you know your priorities, it will help you a lot. Also, defining and having governance structures is extremely important to build your knowledge and at scale, because you need to capture and share the knowledge and best practices among your employees. This is extremely important. Of course, use emerging digital trends to challenge your current solutions, and always look for a better breed to help you out with your future state, but also look at it through the prism of impact on your organization. Not jump to the what's the best on the market. From the other perspective, what's being proven as obstacles or issues when you execute your digital transformation is that measuring again, focusing only on technology. This is what I elaborated before, but basically technology is not the focal point of your digital transformation, and keep that in mind. If necessary, divide your digital transformation into phases, and then implement your core system, implement your technology, test it all the way around, and then even do swap if necessary, but see the technology as a means and tools to achieve your clear business goals. Creating silos, this is something that's still there. So work on that, because people will tend to get back to their previous way of working, and also highly important that people neglect and don't do their homework is that they don't think about culture change and communication. This is extremely important. Do that. Invest in your culture change and communication. Get people engaged. Do that particular work about communications, and it will pay off. So I hope this presentation has given you a lot of information, but also raised some questions and concerns. I would thank you for your attention. If you happen to have any questions or ideas or thoughts to share, please do. I would be glad to answer you. Thank you for your attention once again, and wish you all best.
Pozdrav svima, moje ime je Mirjana Stojanović. Velika mi je čast i zadovoljstvo da sam učesnik ovog događaja. Jako mi trenutnih okolnosti nisam u mogućnosti da i fizički budem u Nišu sa vama, ali se najiskrenije nadam da ćemo već na sledećoj KreNI konferenciji imati priliku da to ispravimo. Ja radim u Ericssonu, telekomunikacionoj kompaniji koja je osnovana u Švedskoj 1876. godine i od tada pa sve do današnjih dana svojim brojnim patentima, inovacijama i tehnološkim rešenjima doprinosi da ljudi širom sveta brže, jednostavnije i lakše komuniciraju. Ericsson je prisutan u više od 180 zemalja, u Srbiji od 1996. godine i u našoj zemlji sarađujemo sa sva 3 mobilna operatera. Razlog što učestvujemo na ovoj konferenciji ne leži samo u činjenici da je Ericsson švedska kompanija, već i u tome što je tema ovog događaja digital disruption i to je ideja koja je jako bliska onome što mi radimo. Naime, Ericsson već više od 140 godina radi na razvoju komunikacionih tehnologija koje su svaka u svoje vreme s pravom mogle da ponesu taj epitet disruptive. Ono što im je zajedničko je da su uvek bile posvećene napretku društva. Mi u Ericssonu verujemo da su otvorena saradnja i konkurencija pokretači novih ideja i da tehnologija uvek treba da služi u dobre svrhe, pa je zato Technology for Good jedna od ideja vodilja našeg poslovanja. Tehnološka revolucija koja se upravo dešava ili tehnologija na čijem se razvoju i implementaciji najviše radi u ovo vreme je 5. generacija mobilnih mreža ili 5G. I s pravom, bez lažne skromnosti, možemo da kažemo da je Ericsson jedan od lidera u tom domenu. Šta je to toliko drugačije i toliko revolucionarno u 5. generaciji mobilnih mreža? Zašto je to prilika za digital disruption? To ću probati da vam približim u narednih 10 minuta. Većina vas, za razliku od mene, najverovatnije ni ne pamti vreme bez mobilnih telefona. Mobilne komunikacije i mobilne aplikacije danas predstavljaju sastavni deo vaših života. Međutim, to je način komunikacije ili to je tehnologija koja se razvila u poslednjih 40 godina. I dok su nam prve generacije mobilnih mreža omogućile da najpre da se čujemo, pa da pošaljemo poruke, pa da se vidimo, 4G nam je doneo i mobilni internet. I to je u mnogome izmenilo ne samo način na koji komuniciramo, već i način na koji radimo, na koji učimo, zabavljamo se, kupujemo i slično. Sad, kad već imamo brz i pouzdan mobilni internet, postavlja se pitanje šta je to toliko drugačije, toliko revolucionarno što očekujemo od 5. generacije mobilnih mreža. Pre svega, to su superiorne performanse. 5G treba da nam omogući mnogo veće brzine prenosa podataka, mnogo veće mogućnost da mobilne mreže prenesu mnogo veće količine podataka, što je naročito važno ako uzmemo u obzir da veliki deo tog sadržaja otpada na video sadržaj i na video formate. Mnogo manje kašnjenje koje unosi radio mreža, mogućnost da imamo mnogo veći broj umreženih uređaja, senzora, različitih pametnih uređaja, jer sad ne pričamo više samo o mobilnim telefonima. Uz sve to, 5G mrežu karakteriše i velika fleksibilnost i skalabilnost. Bez ulaženja u neke tehničke detalje na koji način se to realizuje, hoću da vam kažem samo da 5G mreža dozvoljava ili pruža mogućnost da jedna ista fizička infrastruktura, jedna ista mobilna mreža zadovolji dosta različite zahteve, komunikacione zahteve iz različitih slučajeva primene. Kad pričamo o tim slučajevima korišćenja 5G mreže, tu obično razlikujemo 3 velike grupe mogućih primjena. Jedna od njih se odnosi na poboljšani mobilni internet, gde imamo mnogo stabilniji, mnogo mobilni internet, mnogo veće brzine protoka i mnogo manje kašnjenje, kao što smo već malo pre rekli. Druga grupa primjena se odnosi na masivnu komunikaciju mašinskog tipa ili Massive IoT i tu pričamo o velikom broju senzora ili drugih pametnih uređaja koji nešto mere ili nešto beleže, pa tako pričamo o pametnoj poljoprivredi ili pametnoj logistici ili o raznim drugim smart meter sistemima. I treća grupa mogućih slučajeva primjene odnosi se na slučajeve gde se zahteva ultra brza, ultra pouzdana mreža sa ultra malim kašnjenjem. Ovde spadaju oni slučajevi o kojima ste verovatno već čuli ili čitali, kao što su operacije na daljinu ili autonomna vozila i sl. Ovde je malo drugačiji pogled na te slučajeve primjene. Znači, mogući slučajevi primjene 5G mreže ili korišćenja 5G mreže zahtevali bi zasebnu prezentaciju. Za to danas nemamo vremena, ali sam ja ovde probala da vam prikažem jedan malo drugačiji pogled na njih, tako što su izdvojeni slučajevi primjene u industriji, gde 5G zajedno sa veštačkom inteligencijom otvara mogućnost za novu industrijsku revoluciju i slučajevi koji su namenjeni nama kao krajnjim korisnicima. Da vas dodatno zainteresujem ili podstaknem na razmišljanje, pomenut ću samo mogućnost da osim zvuka i slike prenesemo i taktilne informacije, na primjer uz pomoć pametne rukavice, ili da u praćenju nekog sportskog ili muzičkog događaja u realnom vremenu možemo da kombinujemo, mi kao krajnji korisnici možemo da kombinujemo video streamove iz različitih izvora, uključujući i one sa mobilnih telefona posetilaca iz publike. Ili da ono što vidimo i čujemo možemo dodatno da obogatimo uvođenjem virtualne realnosti ili proširene realnosti, što otvara celu jednu novu paletu mogućnosti, recimo kad su u pitanju mobilne igrice. Ono što je važno da pomenemo je da pored svih tih slučajeva koje smo sad samo olš pomenuli, kao što su autonomna vozila i pametni saobraćaj ili robotizacija i automatizacija u industriji ili lečenje na daljinu ili hologramski pozivi, na primjer, ili koncerti, drugi performansi gde su umetnici na različitim krajevima sveta, a zahvaljujući 5G mreži publika ima utisak kao da su zajedno na sceni. Ta lista primjena nije konačna. 5G nam pruža mogućnost ili nas podstiče da stavimo znak pitanja na način na koji smo radili sve stvari do sada i da vidimo da li to što sad imamo ili ćemo imati mobilnu mrežu ovako superiornih performansi dozvoljava da neke stvari uradimo drugačije, da nešto uradimo na malo kreativniji, malo bolji način nego što smo to radili do sada. Pa, na primjer, neki od budućih 5G use case-ova mogli bi da budu poboljšanje turističke ponude grada Niša uz pomoć proširene stvarnosti ili nekakav sistem za hitne isporuke dronom ili nova mobilna igrica koja zahteva super brzu mrežu i super veliki protok ili nešto novo što ćete vi osmisliti. Jedna od oblasti primjena 5. generacije mobilnih mreža koja je meni lično najinteresantnija odnosi se na takozvani Internet of Skills ili internet znanja i veština. Kao što nam je internet obezbedio ili omogućio da informacije postanu dostupne svakome, tako nam 5G pruža mogućnost da različite veštine postanu dostupne svakome. Pa tako ako imate, na primjer, pametnu rukavicu, pametne naočare i sa druge strane eksperta nekog u nekoj oblasti, on može da vam pomogne da rešite određeni problem tako što će u skoro realnom vremenu dobiti informaciju šta vi to vidite, šta vi to pod prstima, odnosno rukavicom osjećate i, na primjer, može da vam pomogne da nešto popravite ako se radi o toj vrsti problema. Ili moj omiljeni primjer za ilustraciju mogućnosti 5G mreže je slučaj gde neko ko ne zna da svira klavir uz pomoć pametne rukavice to pokušava. Pametna rukavica komunicira preko 5G mreže sa nekim serverom gde su zabeleženi tačni pokreti. Server meri odstupanja od tih tačnih pokreta, šalje informacije rukavici na koji način da se to koriguje i tako neko s pomoć 5G može da nauči da svira klavir. Sad, pomenuli smo tu široku paletu mogućnosti za primjenu 5G mreže koje, rekli smo, ide od nekih slučajeva za zabavu, za igrice, pa sve do ozbiljnih primjena u saobraćaju, industriji, zdravstvu. I ono što je zajedničko svim tim slučajevima primjene je da se oslanjaju na tu mobilnu mrežu. A to onda iziskuje da ta mreža mora da bude bezbedna, pouzdana i sigurna. I to je jedna od ključnih stvari kada pričamo o 5G mreži i to je nešto o čemu mi u Ericssonu zaista jako vodimo računa i poklanjamo dosta pažnje i to je preduslov za sva naša rešenja koja su posvećena 5G mreži. Još jedna stvar koju bih voljela da ponesete sa ove prezentacije je činjenica da uspešna primjena 5G mreže zahteva udruživanje i saradnju različitih aktora. To nisu samo mobilni operateri, to su i proizvođači uređaja, to su proizvođači opreme, to su akademske institucije, ali su to i razni kreativni pojedinci ili organizacije koji će osmisliti te nove slučajeve primene u različitim domenima. Tako da kad pričamo o petoj generaciji mobilnih mreža, to uvek i o njihovoj primjeni, to uvek mora da bude nekakav ekosistem, a ne egosistem. Niko sam tu ne može da napravi nešto što će biti uspešno. To je jedan od zaključaka koje bih voljela da ponesete i drugi, naravno, da je bezbednost 5G mreža ključna za sve scenarije koje razmatramo. Eto, toliko od mene u ovoj kratkoj prezentaciji. Nadam se da sam uspela da vam donekle približim, nekle prenesem da 5G nije samo još jedna generacija mobilnih mreža, već je to platforma za inovacije. Sad tu vi, vaše ideje, vaša kreativnost stupate na scenu, a Ericsson će nastaviti da razvija komunikacionu infrastrukturu koja će da podrži realizaciju tih vaših ideja. I tako ćemo, nadam se, svi zajedno biti na korak bliže tom nekom budućem održivom, pametnom i umreženom društvu. Eto, toliko od mene. Pozdravljam vas u ime svojih kolega i u svoje ime i iskreno se nadam da ćemo nekoj od sledećih konferencija imati prilike da se vidimo i uživo, a do tada vam želim svako dobro.
Pozdrav svima, moje ime je Ljubisa Egelja i vodim marketing u OTP banci. Pre svega se nadam da ste svi dobro, da se čuvate. Hvala konferenciji KreNI na ovoj prilici. Jako podržavam to što radite. Osnaživanje zajednice da sami reše svoje probleme na kreativan način i da unaprede svoju sredinu je fantastična stvar. Ja ću vam danas pričati o promjenama unutar kompanije, šta to znači za kompaniju, šta se tu dešava, a gdje je tu zajednica, gdje su tu start-upovi sa kojima mi sarađujemo. Odmah ću podeliti ekran. Evo ovako, idemo samo da krenemo od prvog slajda, što se kaže. Evo ovako, dajmo da radi, idemo. Evo, prvo pitanje se postavlja zašto uopšte je potreba da se promenimo. Da, svakako je uvek tu konkurencija, novi zahtevi klijenata, igrači koji ulaze u tržištu, prosto tehnologija se menja, sve to stoji. Međutim, nekad je to samo stvar imidža, možda želite da budete cool. I to isto možda bude legitiman razlog zašto se menja vaša organizacija. Kada su banke u pitanju, stvar je dosta ozbiljna, jer banke kao vrlo tradicionalne institucije prosto moraju da se promene. Način kako su ranije radile i kako će raditi u budućnosti, po mnogo čemu će ostati isti u smislu sigurnosti i tako dalje. Međutim, način na koji će pružati servise značajno se menja. Daću vam primjer, svi ti, sefovi koje jedna banka ima, šalteri, sve se to danas pakuje taj pametni telefon. Tako da, ceo taj sistem, ako želite da stavite u jednu aplikaciju, shvaćate koliki je to u stvari zahvat. Kada su promjene u pitanju, one dolaze iznutra da bi se videle s polja. Potreba za promjenama dolazi s polja, međutim, sama promjena, ako se ne desi unutra, sigurno se neće vidjeti s polja. Kako uopšte dolazi do promjena? Pa, ja sam tu svrstao u 8 nekih savjeta za promjene. Zapravo, to je moje iskustvo posljednjih 5 godina rada u banci. Pre toga nisam radio u banci, ali sam se našao u jednoj sredini koja je bila fantastična i u sred tranzicije, tako da ovo su neki, da kažem, zaključci koje smo izvukli iz tog perioda. Prvo i osnovno je, onaj ko upravlja kompanijom mora da vidi prednost promjena i da podrži to. Neminovno, bez toga ste samo izolovani pojedinac ili grupa koja se bori, nećete imati podršku resursa, dovoljno razumevanje ukoliko nemate podršku menadžmenta. Znači, kada se promjene kompanije dešavaju, ako je menadžment onboardovan, velike su šanse da se promjene i dese. Druga stvar ili princip, da kažem, je nešto što je primenjivo ne samo u poslu, a to je da challenge-ujete sve što radite, to je način na koji radite. Ono što smo mi primetili je da prosto ljudi dolaze godinama na posao i rade posao na jedan te isti način. Okolnosti su se menjale, tehnologije, procesi i drugi, i prosto bilo je prirodno da u jednom trenutku se svako zapita, ok, to što ja radim već godinama na taj način, to možda može drugačije, efikasnije, možda mogu da slobodim svoje vreme za druge stvari, da automatizujem nešto. Dakle, vrlo je zdravo povremeno se pitati da li to što radite na jedan način može da se radi drugačije. Istražujte i uvek tražite nove mogućnosti. Krucijalna stvar su ljudi. Znači, ljudi moraju da budu konstantno, ta srpska reč, engageovani sa svojom kompanijom, sa procesima koji se dešavaju, ali pre svega sa klijentima i sredinom u kojoj posluju. To je način da se to desi, organizacija različitih radionica, događaja, gde će da dolazi do takve interakcije. Među tim ljudima uvek će se naći neko ko je, pa da kažem, kreativniji, istrajniji, na kraju dana je vidljiviji. Ono što je važno je da ti ljudi dobiju podršku svoje sredine u smislu nekakve promocije, prepoznatljivosti. Mi smo recimo, da bi sve to funkcionisalo, još davno uspostavili jednu rezervisanu e-mail adresu gde su ljudi mogli da prijavljuju inovacije. I prosto kad smo ih motivisali da krenu da razmišljaju o svom poslu, načinu koji rade, dobili smo prve godine preko 1000 različitih predloga da se nešto unapredi. Što je sjajna inicijativa, u stvari je sjajno što su se ljudi odazvali svemu tome, jer zapravo govori o spremnosti ljudi da nešto unaprede. Hoću da kažem, to postoji i u sredini, samo je potrebno motivisati ljudi da to zaista i iskažu. Kompanije moraju da se okrenu u zajednici u kojoj posluju. U našem slučaju, naše glavno partnerstvo bilo je sa Beogradskim hubom, ICT hubom, pre nekoliko godina, i oni ne samo da su direktno uticali na promjenu naše kulture, razumevanje metodologija i svega, već su direktno povezivali nas i druge startupe koji su mogli da nešto učine za nas ili da unaprede neki naš proizvod ili uslugu, servis koji pružamo. Prosto jedni prema drugima moraju biti otvoreni, kompanije veliki i mali, a svako tu nosi nešto svoje. Ovo je jedan ovako slikovit prikaz gde u stvari kako to izgleda, ali zapravo o čemu se tu radi. Startup kada dolazi, on donosi neke nove metodologije, donosi jednu agilnost, da kažem, onako, ima više prostora za neke manevre. Dok kompanije koje jesu onako, da kažem, malo krute, ali one sa sobom nose velike resurse i duboku ekspertizu. I zapravo je dobit u kombinaciji ta dva. To je u stvari ključ svega. Posebna stvar je kada nešto želite da kreirate, da to radite sa krajnjim korisnicima. Vrlo često kažem, nije potrebno da smišljamo nove stvari, dovoljno se bavimo rešavanjem postojećih problema. A zapravo to je velika istina. Vi imate puno razloga da se posvetite postojećim problemima i da tražite rešenja za iste. To je zaista, može da se tumači ovako i onako, ali je velika istina da kada rešavate neko problem, vi unapred znate za koga nešto radite, koliko ljudi tangira taj problem i koliki je potencijal rešenja na kome radite. Tako da ko-kreiranje se pokazalo i u našem slučaju veoma korisno. Vrlo često navodimo primer Synchro. To je zapravo ponuda za paušalce. Kako je do toga došlo? Prosto IT-evci su danas jako popularna tema, tako? dugo nisu bili vidljivi za banke. Nisu mogli da uzmu kredit, nisu mogli da funkcionišu zato što prosto način na koji su imali primanje i tako dalje nije bio u radaru banaka, što se kaže. Međutim, mi smo razgovarajući sa njima napravili posebnu ponudu za njih, razumevajući njihove potrebe, ono što njih boli, kakve su njihove potrebe za dnevnim bankarstvom, koje su njihove druge potrebe. Suština je do svega toga ne bi došlo da mi nismo sedeli i pričali sa njima u nedogled, pa sve do toga da i sam naziv protekao iz te zajednice. Vrlo je važno kada se menjate da ne dovedete u pitanje snage koje imate. Sećam se dobro kada smo imali prve kontakte sa ICT Hubom i sa startupovima koji su dolazili, da zapravo su kolege imali, da kažem, jednu malu vrstu odbojnosti. Eto, sad dolaze ti neki mali timovi koji imaju te nove metodologije, ali oni zapravo nisu ograničeni sistemom kojim jesu velike kompanije, ali zapravo tek kada su kolege onako počeli da rade sa startupovima, videli su u stvari u to partnerstvo oni unose svoju duboku ekspertizu koju startupovi uglavnom nemaju. Tako da je ta kombinacija zapravo bila dobitnička. I posljednja, ali možda i najvažnija stvar kada uđete u neke promene jeste da potpuno je okej da ne uspete. Doduše poželjno je ako već treba da padnete što pre kako biste mogli da se podignete i da krenete rad na nečem drugom. Nisu sve ideje 100% uspešne, naravno da nisu, ali to je najmanji razlog za to je da to ne treba bude razlog odustajanja. Važno je takođe da sredina u kojoj se sve to dešava ima razumevanje za to i da prosto se zna da bi se došlo do uspeha mora nekoliko puta čak i da se padne. Eto, ja se nadam da vam mojih 8 saveta nešto znači. Za kraj, da li postoji return on investment za savete za promene? Pa da, kod nas možda ne direktno brojimo, ali veliki broj inovativnih ideja koje smo dobili, novo odeljenja koje smo osnovali, uključujući nove pozicije kao innovation menadžeri, servisi koje smo kokreirali sa klijentima, nisu svi bili finansijski, partnerstva koje su se stvarala i na kraju krajeva pojednostavljenje naših usluga, zapravo to je sve posredno dovodilo do i tekako je uticalo na return on investment. Tako da eto, toliko od mene za danas. Nadam se da će sledeći put biti prilike da pričamo uživo sa mnogo više interakcije. Do tada ostanite zdravi i čuvajte se. Pozdrav od mene.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. It's a real pleasure for me to speak in front of so many young people, students, people interested in technology. And I hope that the content of this presentation will be useful, especially for those who search for some solutions in artificial intelligence in automotive industry. I will share my presentation. I hope you see it. As you know, I am the general manager of Continental Automotive Serbia, and I'm going to present you a few information about the company, not so much, and later I go to the content of artificial intelligence. About the corporation, few words. We are present in 595 locations in 59 actually countries around the world, and Serbia is becoming more and more important. Continental Automotive was founded 3 years ago in Novi Sad, as you know, and at the moment it has almost 600 engineers, highly qualified engineers. Regarding the divisions of Continental, I think everybody knows about tires, and I would like to change a little bit this perception, because our engineers are not designing tires, they are designing electronic products, very complex products, in electronics, and including more disciplines. But of course, we have a tire division, we have powertrain technologies, Vitesco, which is doing electrical cars and powertrain control of the engine. And also we have Continental, which is also present in Serbia, in Subotica, with 1,300 engineers, is doing mechanical parts. In the automotive technologies, we have two divisions, and one of them is autonomous mobility and safety, and the other one is vehicle networking and information, VNI. And regarding VNI, we are present in Novi Sad fully with all business units, meaning we started with central engineering and connected car networking, plus commercial vehicles and services. And in the last year, actually in 2020, we also integrated human-machine interface, HMI. We have a research and development center in Novi Sad, but also we are preparing a new manufacturing plant, as we announced in summer, for advanced automotive electronics. And this will come really soon, and it will be big. Regarding R&D, we develop complete products. This is extremely important. We are not developing something, like outsourcing some components or some parts of the software which is integrated somewhere else, but we are doing complete product development, which at the end will get a sign made in Serbia and later also will be produced here, which brings additional value to the entire economy of Serbia. But also for engineers, it's extremely important that they are developing products, including all disciplines, meaning software, which is the biggest component, of course, hardware, mechanical design, verification, validation, and also project management. You know that where the project manager is located, this is the lead location of that project. And the projects are really huge. Some examples of product we developed, it's access systems, which include the classical key of the car, but also some smart access, for example, through the mobile phone to the car. Also, we develop control modules, different electronic control units, which do the control of the car. Then instrument clusters, backend services. For example, diagnosis, remote diagnosis, we can prevent a driver that something is wrong in the car, or we can even upload upgrade some new software or some new settings for the car according to his status. Also, what is important, highly automated driving, and here I'm extremely happy to share one of my experience when I was in a truck which that didn't have any driver, and this system was done by our colleagues. It was a fascinating experience because we could see the truck, overtaking other cars, keeping the line, of course, accelerating, braking, keeping the distance, everything, automated without any driver. So this is already, we will see later the levels of automation, but this is already level 4. And we are preparing also for next level. Few of these teams, because if you're speaking about automated driving, then we switch to our topic today, artificial intelligence. And we have few of our teams, out of these 600 highly specialized engineers, are doing automatic driving for level 3 and above, also advanced radar systems and front-loading radar, and also camera systems, which, it's extremely important to know also what object is around, and not only the distance, which is measured through radar or LiDAR, but it's important to know what object we detected, the car detected. Interior solutions, because we have more, business units here. I made a kind of summary of what kind of products are somehow fitting to artificial intelligence topic. And it's not only about automated driving, but also you will see some interior solutions, meaning, for example, the car knows you. The car has algorithms, biometric algorithm for authentication and access control. So he will identify you. If you're the right person, you will be allowed to go into the car, and the car will be open and will start the engine. Then we have the possibility that the car is perceiving you, it's feeling you. It has a lot of sensors and cameras inside, and knows who is in the car and what is the status there. For example, 2 children are sitting in the back, and situation at the moment is calm. So it's also interpreting the situation. Then your car can act and react to your needs and preferences. For example, digital companion enabled the transition from a pure voice assistant, which was used for navigation purposes, to digital companion for all mobility related situations. For example, it can give you suggestions. Two children sitting in the back, children prefer to watch movies while driving, but now it's moment maybe to stop because there is an attraction park and children would need to get out from the car. So then it's your choice if you listen to your assistant or not. Now we switch to other solutions. First of all, I would like to speak about this 5 level of automation. Level 0 is the one in which everybody is using the driver itself. Then we have level 1, which is called assisted, when you can have this watching the lines and following the lines, for example. And also in some cars, you have automated braking. If you see an obstacle, it will brake. Level 2 is called partial automation and has both of them, meaning that it will brake or keep the distance and also watching the lines, which is quite used, to be honest. It's already started and it's quite used in many of the cars today. Then there is a big gap to the level 3, which is not so easy to implement, and a lot of companies are working, including Continental, is the conditional automation, meaning that the car will be driven by itself, but the driver still has a responsibility. In that case, the driver is careful, looking in front, letting the car to do his job, but be ready to jump and to control the car when the situation is requested. High automation, level 4, is when the steering wheel and braking system disappear completely. The car is driving it by itself, but on a predefined route, meaning that it's clearly predefined. And you will see one example of a vehicle which Continental developed where level 4 is implemented already. So if it's defined, predefined, we know the way exactly, then the car is driving automatically. And level 5 is full automation when there is no steering wheel, no braking system, but it can drive everywhere. At the moment, it's not possible, but there are some solutions and we are working on that. In order to take decisions in the traffic, I think you need some devices, some intelligence into the car. And the moment we are using short-range radar, long-range radar, then LiDAR, which is sending a lot of impulses, and it's able to read the distances of many objects. But also, as I told you, you need to know which object you detect. And in the next video, you will see an example. The combination between radar, LiDAR, and camera, it's the perfect one for detecting all the objects around, detecting the distance, and ensuring the automated driving. Our team from Novi Sad worked for so-called truck platooning because we have a business unit which is called commercial vehicles and services. And there was a project which was called truck platooning, meaning the more trucks in order to save fuel and energy, they are driving very, very close one to each other. And it's so close that a man would not be able to take decision which the driver in front took. For example, braking suddenly, the driver behind, for a human, it would be impossible to react so quickly. This is why automating the communication between trucks allows this, and then it can go very, very close. And here you need a lot of algorithms. For example, when you go to an exit, you need to let other cars to go to exit, and you should break the platooning and then rejoin. Also, as I told you, Continental developed concepts, and not only concepts, but also products. For example, Continental Urban Mobility Experience is really a product which is working and is present on Frankfurt streets. There are some stations where this mini taxi or mini bus with 6 seats, maximum 40 km/h speed is driving automated. No driver, no steering wheel, no braking system, just enter to this and go make some tours in Frankfurt, for example. It can be booked by fleet management application, and I think this is the future of automotive industry, that we don't need anymore, your own car. We have a mobile phone or tablet. We order a service which will come and will allow us to have access to a personalized car, the settings, or as we let them last time, meaning that you can know the position of the chair, you can know which movie you want to watch, or if you want to have a presentation, or if you want just to relax. Of course, there is no driver, it's an electrical car, and also you know that you will arrive safely because there will be no accident. This is the future of automotive industry. And one of the concepts which probably we will see on the streets in some years is the B concept. It's a car for 2 persons. It has rotating front seat, also front door allows to wheelchair. Maximum speed is 60 km/h, 350 km range, and HMI is really very advanced. You will see a movie at the end following to can imagine how the future will look like. Smart cities also, it's a concept which we need to talk. You know that at the moment 1,300,000 people are killed each year in the cities. Then the cities are the big source of pollution. 7 billion tons of CO2 emission each year coming from cities. If we reduce to zero the emissions, then the planet will be much cleaner. Then imagine 50 billions of hours in traffic jam, so losing time, nerves are going like crazy. And also finding a parking is extremely, extremely difficult. 4% of the cars are running in the same time, the rest are parked. Meaning that if we go to this concept, maybe 20 times less cars will be produced, but it will be much more expensive, much more complex. And because of that, we need a lot of engineers. Maybe the entire automotive industry will change. It will be not necessary so much, operators and people who are working in the factory, but we will need much more engineers, people who can make a design, innovative people, and so on. If we speak about innovation, I want to tell you that in Serbia, people have the skills. They are really very innovative, creative. We have a lot of patents already. Our colleagues already won a competition, worldwide competition, Continental. First time when we participated, we took the place. And there is technology which is revolutionary, especially for automated driving. Let's watch this movie.
Here's how we could commute in the future. With iris scan authentication, Jack enters his designated B to start his commute home from work. He has planned a birthday for his daughter and really likes a recommendation by his personal AI assistant. His order is now on its way to be delivered by the time he reaches home. Through smart city street lamps, City Fleet Management senses a jam ahead and quickly suggests to continue his journey home on a nearby pedelec. The pedelec's smart tires detect potholes and informs the relevant agencies via the smart city service. Meanwhile, via the long-distance conveyor belt, Jack's gift is processed and transported to a neighborhood delivery center. A last-mile delivery robot picks up the package and delivers it with built-in sensors that detect pedestrians and assess road conditions. Jack is identified as the authorized recipient of the parcel and is up and on his way to make his daughter one very happy birthday girl. Moving forward to create a smart and sustainable city, enhancing the quality of your life. Smart City starts today with Continental, the future in motion.
At the end, just one picture about how our city can look like. And Serbia really has high potential because like internet is extremely fast in Serbia. The performances are much better than in Germany, for example. We have a chance to start something from zero, and then we can build a future together, especially with engineering, and you are one of them. Thank you very much.
I will shortly like to introduce myself. I'm Aleksandar Razmovski with more than 15 years of ICT experience, more than 10 years of data analysis, business intelligence, machine learning, all data-driven stuff. I would like to present today our solution, which addresses most of the needs for data analysis and data science and machine learning for one enterprise. We have worked more than a year now on this solution. It's still in the R&D stage, and it will be presumably for a long time. But on the other hand, we have implemented with it a lot of cases and a lot of projects. So you can say that it's evolving as we move forward. So we are gathering intelligence from our customers, which are using the solution, the product, and we are upgrading it. And you will see it somehow upgrades itself from time to time. Crystal Cube is imagined to be an indispensable tool, not just as it states here for data analysts, data scientists, or machine learning practitioners, but also business people can use it, since it has a very simple web interface for the basic usage. You have advanced options on every corner, of course, but from the start, it's a very simple web interface, which runs on, of course, on every major browser. It operates on tabular data. So at the moment, we thought about expanding it on images. It deals with text, with NLP for sure, but we are not dealing with images or sounds or videos at the moment. That's further down the line in our product. It does a lot of things that we as data scientists, as data analysts do in our everyday job description, and also it's microservices and containers architecture. So it's quite modular. It's a auto ML, auto machine learning, auto data science tool product. So you can think of it as a helping hand through your data journey. Also, as I mentioned before, everything you do, everything the user does gets recorded, even the clicks on the screen. Of course, this is not data privacy issue because you know that it's a part of the system. We gather data while you are using our product, the product, not everything else. And with the data it gathers, it becomes, you can say, smarter, because it gives you hints and behaves a little bit more friendly while you are using it. So let's go step by step and see what's in there. To simplify the picture and also to explain the steps which are mandatory, which are optional. The yellow ones are mandatory in Crystal Cube now. The blue ones are optional. What does it mean? You need to do the mandatory steps, but the optional steps are needed if you like to go deeper into the whole process, so to say. So first you have ingesting or loading data, then exploratory data analysis, but that's not needed if you have completely clean data, of course, and you know the data. That's rare, but still. Also, data wrangling is an optional step. And while doing training the model, you can do retraining with a lot of hyperparameters optimization, but still that's another optional step. And after successful training and testing the model, you will deploy that model and do a predictions based on that model. So let's go briefly on every step of this diagram. So ingesting and loading data, Crystal Cube and us as people who did it are working and have done a lot of connectors. We have more than 50 connectors written by now. You can ingest data from any possible source, so to say, which is modern at these days. In this picture, there are few things mentioned. There are more than 50 connectors now developed. Why is this ingest load? You can get the data to Crystal Cube and write it, I don't know, on Hadoop, on some other file system, or you can choose your place to save the data, or you can just load it for the next steps. You don't need to save it. And all the metadata, this is present in all the steps. As I said before, everything which what you do is written there is a lot of metadata generated, and we are saving that metadata maybe on Elasticsearch, maybe on Oracle, maybe on MS SQL. That's up to you where you would like to save that metadata, which will then be reused for different purposes. After the loading, the ingestion of data, Crystal Cube performs automatic exploratory data analysis. So you will get a lot of insights without doing anything, so to say. It will see in the data set how is data connected, how are the columns, the fields, I don't know, correlated between themselves, what is their variation, what is their distribution, and so on. So you will get a lot of insights in your data without doing anything from your side. Also, as a third step, the product Crystal Cube does automatic data wrangling. It will structure the data, it will process the strings, it will impute the missing data. As I said, there are basic functions, but you can always say, stop, I need to do this differently. And you can say, okay, I will impute the average of the column. I will not impute something else. So on one hand, you have some automatic data wrangling, but you can always stop the system and do it by hand. And of course, the system will learn from your decision how to handle the next thing better. So one thing you need to do in this step, more or less, is to provide which output variable. This is for supervised learning, of course. You need to provide the output, the dependent variable, and tell the system which column, which field, which variable is the one. It can have more, but let's not go there. Of course, after that you will have even more insights into the data, because it will know how other columns correlate directly to the output variable which you have stated. Of course, everything leads to the modeling, to the training of the models, which we will use later for inference. So we have decided to go where we can with deep neural network architectures. We are using for some stuff maybe decision trees or something similar, which are not deep neural networks based, but we prefer and the product prefers to work with deep neural networks. Based on the column you have presented in the supervised learning, the solution knows and determines what type of thing you need to do. Is it regression or classification? And also we have a couple of algorithms for the unsupervised type of learning. And as I said before, for the basic usage, you don't need to do anything. The model can be vanilla, trained with some optimal parameters, but you can always, in the advanced section, you can always tune the hyperparameters which are present in that model type. And as a note stated here, we started to think about adding some reinforcement learning algorithms in the product, but that's further down the line. As I said on the beginning, this is completely Dockerized and microservice based solution. So it's not a problem to deploy it. on every public cloud at the moment. So Google Cloud, Microsoft, Azure, AWS. Also, there is a deployment in our Seavus cloud, of course, but you can always put it on premise, on your private cloud, or even it doesn't have to be a cloud. You need a couple of machines. That's up to you, of course. How would you like to scale the whole solution? It even works on one server. It has to be a good one, but still it works on one machine. As a second thing to mention regarding the deployment and things which are built, which Crystal Cube is built upon, it's completely 100% open source software. It's built with Hadoop, with Python, with scikit-learn, PyTorch. There are no additional licenses per se to be paid for using this solution. At the end, this is a typical use case scenario how we operate in an enterprise environment with Crystal Cube. So we are doing more or less a week of workshop, 2 to 5 days. We gather the requirements, we examine the problem. After the workshop, we are doing proof of concept, which roughly is from 1 to 2 months. We do everything with a limited data set, but we do a lot of testing of the results. So the model testing is very important in this stage. And going to production requires from quarter to half a year. We do this with full data, of course, and we can use the model for different in different scenarios, in different use cases. In telecom, we had a project regarding customer segmentation and lifetime value, life cycle segmentation, migration segmentation, and so on. This was quite an interesting project. Also, I mentioned unsupervised learning. We have, based on latest algorithm which we have implemented was variational autoencoders, and after that adversarial autoencoders. So we are using autoencoders for both fraud and anomaly detection. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much to all speakers for the inspirational stories, great examples, and for helping us better understand new disruptive technologies. I'm inviting all of you to follow the last day of the KreNI conference to be with us on Monday from 10 a.m. when we will hear more about the 5 ideas that conference participants are developing at the moment. After the ideas presentation, we will have panel discussion on the topic of disruptive technologies as a force for good. Stay safe and follow KreNI 6.